everything changes.
Hey, welcome back everybody to the Rockstarflipper YouTube channel here on a gorgeous Tuesday evening. Thank you for joining me. And an email that I get pretty often, and I got it again this morning, was about reinvestment of funds into a business. How much of your profit, how much of your sales, how much of your money should you put back into a business? And so this is a pretty important question. And it's, again, one that I get quite often, at least a few times a week. And I just want to jump right into it. And so the answer is definitely going to be different for everyone. But there's kind of a general rule of thumb that I follow along two lines. And so line number one is the obvious answer: as much as you can put back into the business that you can possibly put back into it, you should be putting back into it. The reason is, when most of us, and probably the majority of everyone watching this video, are smaller businesses or just getting started, you don't want to slow the growth of the company down by pulling all of the money out of it. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you're on your third or fourth month selling on eBay, and you are going to project to do $1,000 in sales this month, and you're working at 50% margins, and so you're going to make $500 profit. And so that's a good number. And so you have that $500, but you come up with an expense or a bill or something. You know, you guys want to go on a weekend trip down to the beach, and it's going to cost $400 or $500, and so you pull that money out, and so you've done no good. You're exactly back to where you started when you started the month, without the $500 profit to reinvest. Now, whatever you invested to get to that $1,000 sales, $500 profit, is exactly what you're going to have again the following month. Instead, you should have reinvested at least some part of the $500. I always recommend, if you're in this position of being small, that a minimum of half of your profit, if not more, you know, everybody's different, but a minimum of half your profit should go back into the business, $200-300 on that 500, to give you an additional $200 or $300 to reinvest. Let's say that your cost of goods to do that $1,000 was 20%. So it cost you $200 to sell 1,000. The other $300 was fees and shipping and all that. So that means for every $200 you spend, you're going to essentially be able to do 1,000 in sales. So if you add another $200 or $300 to that amount of reinvestment capital, because you have an extra $200 or $300 in profit from this month, then you should in theory be able to double your business within 30 or 60 days. In theory, it doesn't always work that way, but that should be the number, and you should be paying attention. How much did it cost me to do 1,000 in sales? So if it cost you $300 or $400 and you're able to add $300 or $400, you should be able to do another 1,000 in sales, as long as you get the work done and the items listed and the items are good. Now, if you're bigger, let's say that you're somebody who started this business with a little bit of money and you've sunk thousands of dollars, a couple $1,000s into it, and you're in your third or fourth month and you're going to do $5,000-6,000 in sales, and you're going to make $3,000 in profit. Okay, well, that's fantastic. How much do you still have in inventory to sell? And how much do you want to grow? Because you may not need to sink that $3,000 in profit, or even that $1,500 or $2,000 back in. You may have a plenty of inventory sitting. How much stuff do you have piled up that you should be working on rather than going back out and spending money? Have you bought all the equipment? Is there no more equipment? Do you have light kits? Do you have thermals? Do you have all the equipment that you have? At that level, you probably do. And so you might be able to take out $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 and put it into your pocket. And that's when you get to the point where you know how much you need to spend on your business each month, how much the supplies are going to cost, how much reinvesting into inventory is going to cost you, you know, based on how many items you can list and how much you can handle. If you're investing so much into inventory that the pile is just piling up, stop spending money and get that stuff listed and sold. That way you can recuperate the capital, and then you don't have to keep putting money into your pocket, and you can take some and pay yourself. So that's kind of the routes that I would go. Now, the second route that is an even bigger question is, if you are doing this full time, if it is your only income, or even if it's part-time, but mainly for full-timers, how much money do you need to take out of the business to pay your bills? So if your bills are $2,500 a month for everything, that's all you need to live, gas, food, rent, you know, a small car payment, car insurance, cell phone, whatever, and you're working and the business is making $2,500, and you're taking every dime out to live on, well, you've got a problem. And so you have to do one of two things. Either you have to cut your expenses so you have some money to reinvest, or you have to work harder and make more money. I mean, that's an obvious answer. Now, the thing that I always tell people, and this is why we go back to this conversation about, hey, should I quit my job? I make $3,000 a month at my job, and you know, take home, and then I get some insurance perks and whatnot. And I just started hitting $3,000 a month on eBay in profits. And I'm always like, no, absolutely not. And the reason is because you got to have money to reinvest. If every dime you're pulling out goes to supporting your life, and there's no money left over to put back into advertising, or to put back into inventory, or to put back into promoted listings, or to put back into expanding onto another platform, you know, spending 40 bucks on Amazon, a store for Amazon, and then, you know, floating the money 14 days to wait to get paid for Amazon. Well, if you had that money beyond what you needed for your bills, you could do that. You could expand, you could grow. But, you know, maybe you want to hire somebody for 200 bucks a week, who's going to work part-time for you and help you grow the business. And so that's $800 a month, but you need, you know, a month or two to get it building. And so your company makes $3,000, but your bills are $3,000. You got no money left to pay that part-timer. And so you have to, you know, when people ask me, should they quit a job? My answer is always no. You know, if you're not making at least double what you're making at your job, which sounds like a lot to get to 6,000, it is, you know, and maybe at that point it's not quite double, but you got to be making significantly more than you make at your job, because now you have to replace your job with that money to pay the bills. You have to be able to put away money for taxes, of course, which would come out of your paycheck at work anyways. If you have any kind of insurance that your work's paying for, that you're paying a very small amount for, not to say that getting your own private insurance is always more expensive, because it's not. Sometimes it's cheaper, but you still got to make sure you have that money put aside if you're paying for any of that stuff. And then you have to have that reinvestment money, whether it's a worker or inventory or both of those things, or whatever it is, you have to have that. So, you know, as somebody that brings home $3,000 a month, if it was me in that position, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I wasn't making at least 50% more. So 4,500 to 5,000 before I would be comfortable quitting my job. And so that's kind of my advice to you there. And so at that point, the reinvestment has to be everything. When you're that tight, and if you quit a job, that way you can build the business to get a cushion to get to that $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a month, to where you can pay your bills, put some money back into the business, and maybe have some money left over for yourself to have a little fun with. So hopefully that clears it up for everybody. Hopefully you understand that. I appreciate you watching as always. Thank you so much. Give the video a thumbs up if it helped you. If it helped you kind of understand that money and reinvestment train of thought. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting out some more videos like this all week and all weekend long to help you guys out with kind of business 101. And as always, if you need some extra help, some training, some coaching, and in fact, for the rest of the month following or coming up to fourth quarter, since we're only 2 weeks away, I will have some time for some mentoring and training calls. It's 101. It's video, it's Skype, it's Facebook, FaceTime, however you want to do it. The link is below. Grab it now, because, you know, with only 2 weeks left and, you know, only, I think, like 10 business working days, it's going to be limited. I'm not going to have all the time in the world to sit down with everyone, but the first few people, or probably like 10 people, I can take the links down below. It'll be up near the top somewhere. And you get everything else, all the guides and videos and everything you could want with that. And I appreciate it. So have a wonderful night. I'll see you next time.